I'm getting ready to upload these beautiful D flutes to our website. I'm going to give you a little demo of each one, talk about it, and I will leave links in the description to each of these in the order that I feature them in the video. So if you see one that you really like, or you want to go look at more pictures of it or hear a longer video of it, go ahead and click through to our website. I always write a little brief description of the flute, and then I have 6 or 7 photos, different close-ups of each flute, and I also have a video. If you scroll through the photos, you'll find a video of me playing, and it's a longer video, just me playing a song on each one. We never use any kind of sound editing on the videos of our flutes, so what you're hearing me playing is actually the way the flute sounds. So I think that's kind of cool. I don't like to use reverb. I kind of like our customers to be able to hear what the actual flute's going to sound like when they play it. And yeah, let's get started. So this one is a Douglas fir wood flute. Douglas fir is one of our native trees here. It's kind of one of our more notable trees here in Washington State. This one has a beautiful orange color. It has a bit of a little chevron pattern in the grain going up the side here. It's pretty straight grain, really lovely. It has a little, this little mark here is actually just a dark mark in the flute. It's not a crack. It kind of looks like a crack. I took a close-up of it in the photos, but Douglas fir sometimes has little kind of sap reservoirs in it, and then we'll fill them in, we'll, clean them out and fill them in with resin so that they're stabilized. So let's hear this flute. It has a lovely deep voice. Douglas fir is a harder wood. It is technically a soft wood because the tree has needles and not leaves. But it's a very hard softwood, so it's a nice durable flute. It has more of the voice characteristics of a hardwood flute. I think this one's really lovely. Here's a beautiful Western Red Cedar. This is a really dark piece of Western Red Cedar. It has some beautiful dark, even darker stripes in the wood grain here. It's lovely, kind of a zebra-like appearance to it. Cedar is a softwood, and it's very lightweight. It'll dent fairly easily. Lightweight woods have a tendency to dent more easily, but they also can have more of a resonant vibration within the flute itself, so you can actually usually feel them while you're playing. So even though they're fairly delicate, a lot of people prefer the soft woods. This one has a really beautiful kind of smoky quality to the voice, and you do definitely feel that vibration in the flute while you're playing. This is a really stunning bird's eye maple flute. This is like the polar opposite of the one I just played. It's like one of the harder woods that we work with. And just look at that grain. It has tiny little, it's like tiny little knot holes all over. I don't actually know what they look like when they're growing. I don't think that they're really like shooting out branches for every one of those little knots, but something happens to a maple tree to make it grow like this sometimes. It's not a different species or anything. I think this is like the East Coast maple, so it's a harder maple than our broadleaf maples that we have here in the Pacific Northwest. But it's just a normal maple tree that has a strange growth pattern that's extremely beautiful. You see how the light catches that, and it's like curly maple, but an even tighter figure of just these little dapples all over. This is a pretty heavy flute. It doesn't have that loud of a voice. It's got more of a subdued voice, more meditative and soothing feeling. That's really lovely. A lot of times hardwoods will have a very loud, clear voice, but that one is more subdued. I do have a number of Western Red Cedar flutes that are going online. Here's another one. Another really dark Western Red Cedar. This one doesn't have any particularly bold grain pattern. It's a pretty straight grain, but just a really lovely, super dark red brown. So I actually think that one's louder than the maple that I just played. This one does also have that vibration within the flute, and it does have a slight smokiness to the notes. Really lovely. Another Western Red Cedar. Another really dark red-brown cedar. So that also has a louder voice, particularly on the upper notes. Walnut. This one is really cool. It has a light streak that goes up the back side there. I don't know if you can see that very well in the video, but it's mostly on the back. You can kind of see it on the side of the flute on this side. I really like when walnut comes out with a dual tone like that, like a light and a dark green. I think it's more interesting. This is a hardwood and a heavy wood. It's really durable. And yeah, it just has a little more weight to it than the cedar flutes do. Definitely has a louder voice. A little bit more projection there. I have 3 walnuts going on the website, so this is also walnut. This one is a pretty similar color to the other walnut that's going on the website. Just a fairly uniform. This one does not have a light streak. It's all dark brown. This is a little lighter. The walls might be a little thinner on this one. No, they're exactly the same. We turn them by hand on the lathe, so they vary in thickness a little bit from flute to flute. Ooh, that one's really lovely. That has like just a super clear voice that just projects, and you can also feel that. unlike the cedar, I'm mostly getting the vibration feeling in my fingers. With the cedar, I feel like I can feel it in my whole hand, but it's definitely got a resonant quality to it. Okay, and this is another walnut, and in my opinion, this is a kind of more of a, has more of a warm color. Here, see them together. Just a little bit more of a orange in the color of that walnut. Definitely looks different when sitting next to the others. This one has a really pretty, I don't know if you can see it. Focus on the, not my face. This cool little marking down at the bottom here. Oh, it's really beautiful. Also heavy. I don't know if you guys can hear my ducks outside the house. They're all quacking really loudly right now. It's probably, I don't know, sometimes I can hear stuff and it really distracts me when I'm shooting videos, and I imagine that everybody can hear it, and then when I play the video back, you can't hear it at all. They just, I have 4 Indian runner ducks, and they're just out there making a ruckus right now for some reason. So this one definitely has more of that crisp sound to it. It's more a more loud and clear voice to this one. Ooh, and I have a couple of Ds that are going onto the sale page, so these will be marked down. They have minor flaws. This one actually has, this one has more major flaws to it, but I played this earlier and I thought to myself, like, I'm just going to have to keep that one because it sounds so good. This was a problem, baby. It had what I'm assuming are bug holes that opened up when we turned it. Problem number 1. So they're filled in with super glue. Sometimes that happens and the outside of the wood doesn't look like there's anything wrong with it at all, and then you turn it, when you're all finished, you're like, oh my gosh, this had bug holes in it. But they don't affect the durability of the flute or the voice of the flute at all. They just, some people don't like the way they look. These are kind of odd looking ones. It also has a stabilized crack, which I don't think you'll be able to see in the video at all. Okay, so problem number 2. Problem number 3, when I was turning this on the lathe, probably because it cracked or something, sometimes the gouge is what we carve the flutes with. Sometimes it'll catch and the flute it'll take a big chunk and it'll go deeper than I want to go, so I have to make the flute skinnier than I want to make it to save it, and it got really, really thin. So this is a super thin wall here. Let me see if I can grab another one so you can see what they should look like. Juggling flutes here for you. Okay, so I messed it up. Definitely has a pretty thin wall, so you would have to be very careful with this one. It is super delicate. And then last but not least, it has a funny large hole here. I don't think it's that bad. So it's an ugly duckling, but you know what? It also, in my opinion, sounds the best out of all of these for some reason. It might actually be because it has super thin walls. Sometimes when flutes have really thin walls, that actually makes them more resonant and more, I don't know, it just sometimes it improves the voice of the flute. It's just that we can't do that on all the flutes because it's really hard to control when it gets that thin. Like, I almost ruined this flute. This was almost firewood, but it was saved. Oh, I'm not supposed to do such a long video. I got carried away. Just trying to do a little quick demonstration of the sound there, but it's so fun to play. This one has just like a voice that just feels powerful when you're playing it. I don't know if you can tell the difference from hearing it in the video, but I can feel it when I'm playing it, and it's just lovely. It is super lightweight. It is a fragile flute because I made it too thin, but if somebody gets that, I think it's going to be their new favorite flute. So, this is iron stained cedar. It is also Western red cedar that has a homemade iron stain applied to darken the wood. You can still see the grain through the stain. And each one of these turns out unique. You probably know from my other videos that the stain we use is just a steel wool and vinegar stain, so it's natural. And basically it's reacting with the tannins in the wood. So it only reacts to certain woods. It goes on clear, and as the flute is drying, it turns black like this. Some woods don't change color at all. And a few woods, like cherry is another wood that will turn nearly black. I've done maple, which turns like a smoky gray color, which is pretty cool actually. And cedar turns super black. So it's really fun. The stain is really fun to work with because you never know what it's going to look like. That one has a really nice warm voice too. That has a really resonant voice. You can feel it. Another one. Another same wood, same stain. Iron stained cedar. This one has a little bit more of a bold grain pattern. You see that in the video. Really pretty. I also like the color of the tie on this one a lot. I did green. I think that looks really nice. And I feel like that one has like a totally different voice from the one I just played. It's like more, I don't know how to describe it sometimes. It's more clear and louder. It's not quite as resonant as the last one that I played. It's still really nice. Somebody might hear that and that might be their favorite one. Let me know if that's your favorite one. Okay, and this is another one that's going into the sales section. I'm just checking to see because, yeah, there's just 2 low Ds that are going into the sale section. This one has a funny hole right there. Sometimes when we're tuning them, the Dremel gets away from us and they come out not quite round. That doesn't affect the voice. It's in tune, so it didn't affect the tuning, or the tuning was adjusted after that happened. But yeah, this is Western red cedar. This is a lighter colored cedar. It's the same wood as the last number of flutes I just showed you. So that one has a really good voice. I hope somebody will head over to the sales section and grab up those 2 beauties. If somebody doesn't buy this one, I'm gonna steal it because that's a really lovely flute. I don't know how much I'm marking it down yet, but since it has 4 flaws, I'll probably mark it down a pretty decent amount. So my favorite, I think, was that sail flute, or I'm trying to think, because one of these walnut flutes I thought was amazing. Well, they're all amazing. Was it you? Oh, that one's so good. This walnut one. Let me know in the comments which one you liked the sound of best. Sound is subjective, so everybody probably likes a different one. But yeah, I love doing these videos. I love hearing your comments. So if you have questions, if you have comments about the video, let me know. And yeah, check out these flutes on the website. They'll be live on February 2nd at 4 p.m. Pacific Coast time. Thanks for watching.